I think besides the Cardinals being 2-0, some nice early performances, I do think it's important for a guy like Michaelis to have a good camp. It was cool to see Verhagen, who I think could be one of these starter options, because Flaherty's going to miss at least a month. That to me is the most interesting situation that happened over the weekend. We knew Flaherty was hurt, but Flaherty coming out on Twitter, I guess, with his LOL, and then I'm not a big Instagram guy, but then he explained himself on Instagram of why he said that, and he was not happy with the Cardinals basically revealing that he had that slap tear, because that is something he's had for a while. And so that's not really the reason that he's quote unquote hurt right now. It's inflammation, it's bursitis. And so Jack Flaherty was not happy that that was released. And to me, if I'm the Cardinals, John Mozeliak was explaining what happened. I mean, if you have something, I'm all about transparency. And here's where I think Jack gets himself into trouble, because last week when he met with the media for the first time, Derek Gould asked him straight up a couple times, have you thrown off a mound? And twice he just didn't answer the question. Of course, that means he didn't. But like, how can we want full transparency or to hide certain things? Like, I understand if he's a pitcher, he doesn't want some people to know. But a week earlier, you were not responding to a question. And now you want everything released perfectly, exactly the way that you want it to be released. I mean, the Cardinals just trying to explain what's going on. I thought that was kind of, I think it's telling, though, about the bigger picture of just, look, Jack Flaherty, I don't think there's any chance Jack Flaherty signs a long-term deal with the Cardinals. And I know it's a couple years away, but he strikes me as a guy that's going to hit free agency. And it's not even so much about the Cardinals and the injury. It's just a guy that he's going to want to hit his big ticket payday. He's big into the union. He's going to want to set his market for other guys if he has a good couple years. So I just don't see Jack Flaherty staying with the Cardinals long-term.
I don't disagree with that at all. I think that if Flaherty is a different type of guy than I think a lot of other people that have come to town have been. He's a very proud West Coast guy. I mean, he is all about, all the things you got out there, but he's more like I'm going to say this and I'll walk us through it. He reminds me more of like a basketball player, and I think it's for all the reasons that you talked about there, Chuck. He's not gonna engage in having a conversation early about anything that could cost him money to do a favor for the team. And I don't think it's anybody's obligation to do a favor for a team anyway. But I think that Jack understands his value. He understands where he's at, and he's going to go for every dollar he should. Absolutely, go get it. That's why they had the whole lockout situation, trying to get that sorted out. With that being said, however, Jack's got to get out there and do it. He's getting into that close part right now where you need to start keeping up with some of your peers, some of the Walker Bueller, some of the guys like that, because it's going to just be the numbers that don't match where you're at when you get to that point. Because he's last ARB year, this is it. Like he's starting to go to the point where money's going to be a very real thing. So he's got to get out there and pitch, or else none of that stuff's going to matter anyway. Like it's not going to matter. Keep your eyes in the moment, too. Don't go way out in the future and try to do it before you have even earned it at that point.
What do you think about that, Charlie?
Well said. No, I agree with all those things. I think, and then look at this year. So if he's shut down and he's not going to throw a baseball for 2 weeks, just start doing the calendar here. I mean, we already had a truncated spring training. We know that Alex Reyes is going to miss at least the first couple months. And if you're trying to bring back Jack Flaherty, you're not going to rush him by any means. So 2 weeks from now or 10 days from now, whenever he officially picks up a baseball, that's basically day one for him. Mm-hmm. I would think that, does he even throw off a mound that first day? I wouldn't think so. I mean, he's probably 4 to 6 weeks, I would think, from pitching in the big leagues the second he picks up a baseball. And now you're starting to talk about missing potentially, a quarter of the season-ish.
Yeah, and that's what was the scariest thing about what this season was going to be, by saying that, hey, we're going to push spring training back a month, ramp guys up. You're playing games a weekend. I know a lot of conversation for a long time has been, let's get spring training a little bit shorter. We don't need to do all of this. The games don't mean as much to me as the guys getting into camp and getting ready. And doing work on your own, you can say what you'll say if guys get contact with teams or not, whatever. But doing the work on your own, not having that structure, not getting in there, and people really being able to see where you are, knowing if you need to pull off the gas a little bit or if it's okay for you to go forward. Guys making decisions for themselves, Cam. If you're out there deciding how you're going to train yourself, you're not around the team, it's a completely different thing.
It's a good point, because during that lockout, especially in 2012, where I'm already like 7 years in, and then I had to like train with Jamie Rivers and Patty in Chesterfield. We had no structure. I couldn't have my guy, the Devils, train, who's Mike Vasilani, the most hardcore.
You mean you Pat, and Riv didn't have any
We had
structure?
no structure. Riv's is bagging us. The most miserable damn thing. And Brandon Bullock, too. I'll give him a little shout out. We were doing it at Chesterfield, and that's when Chesterfield Ice Rink was like they had no money.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just kept the in the middle of December, they kept the Zamboni doors open to get the cold air in, to keep the damn ice cold. It was the most miserable thing. My point is, if you don't have that, you're not in front of the people you need to be in front of, telling you different things here and there. You're gonna get off. You're gonna get off your what you should be doing in a way where the Cardinals are gonna guide you. You're not doing that. I don't care how much money you have.
So and that's kind of my point, though, right? So we don't know. I think the Cardinals aren't going to be alone as we get further into camp, further into more games, where we start to have more of these issues that come up, because that structure in the actual training part, not the games, means more. And we've seen it with some of the delayed signings that you've had. It's really impacted pitching the most when guys don't stay on their schedule and they don't get in their season the right way. So I'm worried about that, especially for a team like the Cardinals, who are betting very high on a couple of guys. You've got a few people that are coming back from injuries, like your Dakota Hudsons and guys like that haven't gone the full stretch. You're putting a lot of stock on a guy my age and Adam Wainwright to go forward.
27?
You need stout child of the early 80s,
right,
still pitching. The Cardinals are putting a lot on a couple of situations that aren't as smooth as you'd like them to be. And I gotta wonder if you see the Corey Dickerson ad come in late. I think that if I'm John Mozeliak, if I'm Mike Gersh, I'm on the phone trying to get somebody in here, because you're going to need them, and you're going to have to do it because the pitching's going to have to drive this team.
855-282-8255. People are kind of chirping Flaherty, man. Jobu's like, also Jack is a Jack. Also, Jack is an ass hat.
He's kind of just had that attitude.
He kind of, another couple
And to be
guys.
honest, if he wants that much money, you need to stay on the field, man. You got to stop getting hurt.
There's that confident boy right there, Seth.
And on the other side of it,
but
the Cardinals just got out of a situation with a guy that couldn't stay on the field, and you gave him the money early in Carlos Martinez.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, let's not go down that path again.
No doubt. Although I liked him, man. Every time we met him, he was so nice to us, man.
Great guy, but
I
mean, you didn't know what to do. Now, the Carlos Martinez situation reminds me more of what I'm looking at in the Alex Reyes situation.
Yeah.
What side, where are you going to pitch at? Are you going to be in the rotation? Are you going to be in the pen? Can we pay you? And if so, what's too much of a risk to get it done? Those are two hard situations for the Cardinals.
Flaherty is a weirdo. More of a distraction than a leader. I don't know. I don't know about that yet. Look, some of these guys, and Charlie, man, like, you interview these dudes, and sometimes when the camera's in their face, they're a robot. And they look like an ass. Pardon my language. I know there's a kid by you there, Charlie. We might have to put some earmuffs on them. But, and then you get away from that camera, Charlie, and they're completely different. So it's hard to judge a guy. And Flaherty's a confident dude. He looks like Seth right now. Jimmy's gone.
Mm-hmm.
He'll get up and he'll talk to you, and he knows what he wants, and he knows he's good, although he does have to prove himself a little bit more. Let's be honest here. But, maybe he's not that way away from the camera, so it's hard to really judge somebody. You get my drift on that, Charlie?
100%. Yeah, and I understand Cardinal fans frustrated. I do think if you kind of go to social media and all that, look, Jack Flaherty, he does speak up for social justice causes. Whether you agree or disagree, you're going to take some heat for that. That's just how it is. If you're an athlete and you speak up in any way, shape, or form politically, there's going to be some people who are not a fan of that. And I'm not even bringing that up in the sense of what happened this week. To me, look, it's more about the chasm between Jack Flaherty and the Cardinals. And I'm not saying it's something that's irreparable, but it's just about the way he is, the way the Cardinals do business. That, look, you drafted Jack Flaherty. It was a great draft pick. He's been really, really good when he's healthy. When you kind of read the tea leaves of how both parties like to do business, what do the Cardinals like to do? If they have a stud player, what do they always try to do? They always try to buy out the arbitration years, have a fixed cost, and give somebody a deal early, club friendly, but also you give that guy security early in his career. You get a couple free agent years at potentially a discount. And if the Cardinals don't do that with a pitcher, now they try, for example, Lance Lynn. It didn't happen with Lance Lynn. They got his arbitration years. They didn't get any free agent years. So what happens? He goes to the market. They don't re-sign him. So to me, the likelihood if Jack Flaherty hits the market of the Cardinals re-signing him, to me, it's almost zero. And Jack Flaherty, even though he's been banged up, even though he's injured, and he may only make whatever 25 starts, if that, this year, if Jack Flaherty has one really good year and he's healthy right before free agency, he's going to get a monster deal. And because he's the union rep, remember, he's been very outspoken about labor issues. And the Cardinals were one of the 4 teams that even voted against the CBA proposal, even though it passed. Just everything about Jack Flaherty. We know he's from LA. Does he want to play for the Dodgers? There's just nothing about this situation. Right. There's just nothing about this situation to me that thinks it's going to last past free agency.
Let me get to a couple texts here, by the way, 855-282-8255. I'm going to hit a little live read. We're going to go to break because we got Ricky Zombo coming up at 8:05. We're going to talk to him. Unbelievable guy. Joby chimes in and goes, are you guys concerned about Jackie having to get a second opinion on his shoulder? You don't get a second opinion if the first one comes back A-OK. No doubt that's concerning.
Yeah, that's a real thing. I mean, you gotta read the tea leaves, even though you take away all the speculation about what a guy's going to do in the future. What we do know right now is just that. You know, you had to go in and get a second opinion to take a look at it, and I just, again, I don't like that. The history of looking at how guys have come into the spring that are getting the season started late and having these shoulder and these elbow issues that pop up, it doesn't bode well, especially when you're in a situation where you're hanging that much on a guy. This is your ace. You know, this is your top dog. Yeah, this is the guy that was supposed to be taking the ball on the 7th and setting the tone for the season. And now, you know, to the point, the kind of the timeline that Charlie laid out, I mean, we're looking at May, maybe. Jordan Walker, I mean, listen. Here's something I want to do. Let's be careful. Because you know how it can get in St. Louis. Big prospect. This guy's got a rocket strapped to his back. Yeah. I mean, he's going up. He's one of the fastest risers in the entire minor league baseball situation here. But let's give him some time. Yeah. Let's let him keep on swinging a little bit here. Let's get all the way through it. But, I mean, yeah, I think that Georgia's worked out pretty well for the Cardinals as far as making big splash moves. The legendary J.D. Drew.
Oh yeah,
Georgia boy.
Yeah,
you know you got the Wainwright came over on a fantastic deal, and now you got another kid that you went and found that a lot of people didn't know what to do with, and now he's up there. I think that when you look at the DH space, Walker is one of the guys where you say, okay, now it makes a lot more sense for what we can potentially do with this guy. So excited.
Yeah, I mean he's got the name, that's for sure. He's got the name. 855-282-8255. Again, we got Rick Zama coming up. At 8:05, 636 chimed in, goes, it's 2021 all over again. Definitely need a SP. Have heard little bits of Oviedo again. They need to bring someone in with experience. Oviedo will be good. Just feel he needs to develop slower this time around.
So here's what worries me about the Cardinal staff. I had to pop up and do the math here during the break. And I'm going to throw 2020 out for Michaelis because he didn't pitch at all. But, you know, he's pitched 228 innings over his last 2 seasons. Flaherty has pitched, where are we at? 118 innings over the past 2 years. And this is counting the COVID season, so there's a little fallback there. But, I mean, it still is, you know, he pitched 78 innings last year. Hudson was out for a year after that. He's at 47 innings over the past 2 years. Steven Matz is coming in. Steven Matz was not supposed to be a workhorse at all. He's more of a set the table, let the bullpen take it type of thing. But you need him to step up. But the Cardinals don't have anything that's underneath nearly 40 years old that's pitching workhorse innings. Charlie, I'm worried about that. I think that this is going to be a big bullpen season for the Cardinals, and maybe they're built for that, but you still got to be able to set the table the right way.
Well, I mean, Maddie, when you lay it out like that, I mean, if you're going to be so negative and you're just only going to talk about the fact that, yeah, the ace is my age and everyone else is injured and 2 other guys are injured before the season even starts. I mean, let's have a little faith, right? I mean, what that you just said leads you to believe that they won't have 5 guys all throw 200 innings. No, I 100% agree. But going in, I did not think the Cardinals should have added a big-time starter besides Steven Matz because there wasn't a spot for that guy.
Yeah.
Well, now there is. Like, I actually thought it made sense to pick up the Drew Verhagens of the world who could be swing-type guys, length out of the pen, give you a spot start. Well, but that's when you said, okay, hopefully there's not an injury. there's already been 2 injuries. And so your depth has been destroyed before the first pitch of spring training in terms of Jack Flaherty's going to miss at least a month. You got to think Alex Reyes, who we all, I don't think a lot of people thought he was actually going to be a starter, but he could be in the mix in terms of if there's an injury down the road, he could be a multiple inning guy out of the bullpen. Well, you probably combine miss Flaherty and Reyes for about 3 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
You have no depth. So at this point, you cannot, in my opinion, go into the season with the guys you have. To me, even if it's J Happ, I know some people, if they sign J Happ and it's a 1-year deal for $5-6 million, whatever it is, will people be super excited about that? Probably not. But you need proven innings. I understand J Happ is old also, but he was pretty good here. He figured it out. He was bad with the Twins. He got to the Cardinals. He pitched to about a 4 ERA. There's a lot of pitchers whose numbers will look a lot better at Busch Stadium pitching in front of the best defense in baseball. So to me, I know Michael Pineda already signed, but those type of names, Pineda, J Happ, you have to get somebody who's a proven major league starter, and he can hopefully make starts through April, potentially May. If Flaherty's back, you put that guy in the pen. That's to me a J Happ type pitcher.
Can I throw some spice on top of this for us here? I got a little,
my stomach, I don't know.
a little
beat up
spice.
today.
A little spice. The best guy that's out here. Thank you, Seth. I appreciate that.
Confident.
There's a couple of names out there that are at least interesting. Yeah, I think J Happ is one of them. How about this? Johnny Cueto is out there.
Ooh.
Wow.
How could that possibly go over? You got Mike Funewitz, who's a local guy that pitched for the Braves and pitched for the Rangers recently. He's out there. He's got an arm that can crank it up a little bit. Chris Archer's still out there. I think there are some salvageable options there, but I think the Cardinals definitely got to start looking at it because, you've already had these 2 critical ones you've got. You can't take another one, and it's bound to happen. Somebody's going to get dinged up again, and then you got to start leaning on Oviedo, that's been an adventure. Jake Woodford showed well at the end of last year. Maybe he can step up and do a little more for you. But then you got to start, looking at your TJ Zuches and your Liberators, and you don't want to go to that too quickly. Or Zach Thompson. They're on thin ice. They're on thin ice early, and this was the one place they couldn't afford to be in that position at.
How about Zach Davies? Doesn't Zach Davies? He's built like just like a skinny high school kid.
Mm-hmm.
He throws about 85 to 87. He's got those real efficient mechanics. He strikes me as the type. We've seen him with the Cubs a lot. We saw him a little bit with the Padres. He actually strikes me as the type of guy who would come to St. Louis and pitch pretty dang well. And when you start to look at, like right now, I'm looking at all of the free agents for starting pitchers that are still available. And it's a lot of the guys that Maddie mentioned, like those types of names. I don't think any of these names are really going to excite people, but that's not important. You just need a little bit of certainty. So whether it's Cole Hamels, whether it's, Jake Arrieta is another guy that you're hoping for a reclamation project. Now, if I'm the Cardinals, I have some familiarity with a guy like Wade LeBlanc. I mean, Wade LeBlanc was pretty dang good too.
Mm-hmm.
J Happ was pretty good. So if I'm the Cardinals, I in this position would err on a guy who I've seen before, who pitched for the Cardinals last year. I mean, that's not Davies. I wouldn't mind Davies. I don't know if I would because there's so many injury issues, I don't know if I would roll the dice on an injured player coming back, like a Chris Archer type.
Mm-hmm.
But a J Happ, a Wade LeBlanc, somebody who actually pitched healthy through the end of 2021. There's a lot of guys like that. I feel like you could get on a 1-year deal for between $4 and $6 million. You're not going to have to break the bank.
What do you think, Maddie?
Let's talk John Lester off the couch. What do you think he's weighing in at right now?
Ooh.
You think you think when you make that decision, you go through a labor outage, what do you think he's checking
What about
in at right now?
Isringhausen? He lost a bunch of weight.
Let's bring him back. Well, that'll mess with. He'll have to come out the Hall of Fame then.
Man.
You don't want to do that.
Izzy's fun, man.
Let's get Trevor Rosenthal back. He's out there. Stretch him out.
Yeah.
Get a hot 45
Closing
innings out of
fall.
him.
Jason Simontachi.
There.
Yeah.
Oh! Now you're opening up. A bag here. There's a couple of Beneses that are out there.
Yeah, both of them.
Matt Morris can come back, pitch a couple of innings, get his Hall of Fame, Cardinals Hall of Fame candidacy up. Then we can vote him in August, and
Rick
he's good to go.
Ankiel. Get Ricky Ankiel back. Let him throw some heat.
What an awesome guy he is.
He's a great dude.